Theology in 3 minutes. Topic: The problem of evil. Part 1. It can be argued that many religions are formed at least in part to answer one basic question: why do we suffer? From disease, disaster, injustice, and death. This question forms the basis of what's commonly called the problem of evil, or the problem of suffering. In its most critical form, it is often seen as a paradox against a very specific idea of an all-knowing, all-powerful, and perfectly good God. If God is all-knowing, he knows about all evil. If God is all-powerful, he could prevent all evil. If God is perfectly good, he would want to prevent all evil. And yet, evil and suffering clearly exist. This simple fact alone seemingly creates a paradox. Now, before going further, a brief PSA. Topics like these are often deeply emotional and often deeply personal. If you or someone you know is currently dealing with grief or hardship, this discussion is not meant to resolve your personal situation. The purpose of this series is far simpler: to lay out an apologetic framework for thinking about the problem of evil, not to replace the kind of care found in conversations with a therapist, pastor, or perhaps someone you trust. If it does happen to help paint things in a better light, then that's fantastic. But working through those situations usually needs to happen in a different setting than a short video like this. Another disclaimer that is important to clarify is that this is not a universal problem for all religions. Polytheistic paganism makes no promises of a benevolent world. Their gods are powerful, but flawed, limited, and often morally questionable. So the existence of suffering isn't philosophically problematic in the same way. In fact, it's more matter of fact to them. Humanity suffers, and the gods are often indifferent or inconsistent. In the Eastern Dharmic religions, such as Hinduism and Buddhism, the universe itself is seen as fundamentally one of hardship. Suffering is treated as the primary condition to diagnose and escape. It is often explained through concepts like karma, attachment, and the cyclical nature of life. A person escapes that cycle through cultivating the discipline, detachment, and insight necessary to achieve enlightenment, moksha, or nirvana. In that sense, the entire theological framework is oriented around the promise of liberation. As a result, their systems tend to address the problem of suffering first, with questions of cosmology and morality developing around that foundation. The problem of evil, as it's usually framed, is specifically aimed at the kind of God described in the Western Abrahamic religions, where God is both all-powerful and morally perfect. So going forward, that's the model we're dealing with. To do that, we will need to separate the critique into two distinct categories: evil and suffering. Evil refers to things like violence, cruelty, and injustice that are committed as the result of human choices. Suffering refers to the victims of evildoers, or things like natural disaster, disease, or famine. Things that befall someone, not by choice. The distinction matters, because any explanations for one would not automatically explain the other. They are categorically two separate concerns. Unfortunately, these topics are much too nuanced to fit within the self-imposed time limit, so they will be broken up into follow-up videos. In the next part, we'll focus on the first category: why would a good God allow evil actions in the first place?